Hi, I'm Yashni, taking you through some of the things people are talking about and stuff they're sharing around the world on NewsFeed today.
Referred to as a monkey, chimp, ape.
A freak show.
Shut up, you're fat, you're ugly, I should be raped.
How Twitter is putting women and minorities' lives in danger. David Guetta gets the crowd going in Riyadh but gets called out on social media. And we find out just how many South Africans you can squeeze into this fan. Twitter trolls, prolific, mean, and downright bullies. And the main targets? Women, especially ones in the public eye. Now, a new report shows Twitter truly is toxic for women. Amnesty International is calling it a human rights issue and wants Twitter to step up and make some real changes. Now, Twitter is meant to be a space to share information, express ideas and opinions, and connect with people from around the world. But it's also a platform where abuse, racism, misogyny, and homophobia still flourish. This is what it feels like to be on the receiving end of a Twitter troll attack.
I was referred to as a monkey, chimp, ape, to get lynched, stupid.
Literally, Twitter abuse made me buy a home security system. Shut up, you're fat, you're ugly, I should be raped.
I get called a nigger a lot, fat, a cunt, all sorts of things, simply because I'm a woman.
The threats I've gotten on Twitter and elsewhere have completely changed who I am, like really in a fundamental way. You know, like you don't get to be called these sorts of names, you know, every day for years on end and not have that affect you.
These social media platforms like to think of themselves as these bastions of free speech.
It's not free speech to wish death upon me.
Twitter has changed the 21st century. It has rocked so many lives, changed the way organizations run. And I totally get that Twitter is about freedom of expression. But if women can't be free to express themselves, there's a real problem and Twitter needs to address it.
Well, let's get more information from Tanya O'Carroll. She's the director of Amnesty Tech. Tanya, thanks for joining us. Now, why was this report commissioned in the first place?
Was a response to the fact that we needed to look at a statistical level and have the data, kind of the evidence base to say to Twitter, you know, this is not just anecdotal experiences being reported by women, which we've obviously heard many, many times by now, but actually here are the numbers. And I think the numbers do speak for themselves. You know, this is the first large-scale study. We had 6,500 volunteers take part in our troll patrol, essentially going through tweet by tweet, telling us, is this abusive? Is it problematic? Why? Calling out misogyny, identifying sexism, racism, homophobia. And what we found, you know, that essentially the women that we were looking at, 778 women, were basically being sent a tweet every 30 seconds during the course of that year. And we're talking 1 million abusive tweets out of a total of 14 million. These numbers are huge. And of course, particularly concerning finding is the fact that, Black women are 84% more likely to receive abusive messages on Twitter than white women. And this is just showing yet again, this time we have a large scale that, women are being silenced, that this is really having huge consequences for their ability to express themselves freely and without fear on Twitter.
Tanya, but why are women so targeted, especially on this platform?
I mean, I don't think this is unique to Twitter. I think this is clearly a societal-wide problem. I think what Twitter has allowed is for us to sort of peek underneath the hood and see just the extent to which actually very discriminatory attitudes and views are still very prevalent in our societies. But what's concerning is that Twitter is not doing anything to address this. So, yes, of course, Twitter are not responsible for the fact that a lot of men out there want to send, abusive messages to any woman that expresses an opinion on social media. But they do have a responsibility to actually act when that happens. So to take down the content, to block the offensive tweets, and to make women feel that their expression is prioritized. When it comes to protecting freedom of expression, it's always back to this question of whose freedom of expression gets prioritized and whose freedom of expression do we really care about? And in this case, Twitter needs to just step up and do something to make women feel that they can use the platform safely.
Definitely some serious action there that Twitter needs to take. Tanya O'Carroll from Amnesty International, thanks so much for your time this Tuesday. Now, let's have a look at some of the other things that caught our eye on social media. Well, never has one man been so excited about the opening of a tunnel. This is Elon Musk's big idea, a tunnel to cut back on traffic and autonomous vehicles to take you through it. Now, the very ambitious venture was meant to be launched last week, but according to The Boring Company, Tuesday's big reveal will show how the vehicles work and the elevator used to lower them into and out of the tunnel. The whole event looks set to be anything but boring. The word justice is Merriam-Webster's word of the year, and ironically, it's all thanks to Donald Trump. Turns out searches for the word spiked when Trump tweeted about a witch hunt against him related to the investigation into the Russia meddling in the 2016 election. Here's hoping Trump gets the justice he so richly deserves.
Justice might seem like a very common word, but it's often familiar words for abstract concepts that are among the most looked up words in the dictionary. Looking at the year through the prism of vocabulary by analyzing our lookup data reminds us that words matter. Justice is a word at the heart of many issues in our society. Through the dictionary, we can make these connections with words that tell us something about our culture, our language, and ourselves.
Now, here's a story that's going to make you think twice about clicking on links sent to your cell phone. Pegasus spyware is meant to help cybersecurity and combat crime, but it's apparently being used as a weapon to silence political critics and activists. Now, there are calls for Pegasus to be silenced.
A few years ago, I set the goal for Israel of becoming one of the top 5 cybersecurity powers in the world.
An Israeli surveillance software tool capable of accessing microphones, cameras, and other data.
One Saudi dissident says he spoke to Jamal Khashoggi regularly about Riyadh's use of technology to crack down on critics.
Well, I was working with Jamal in some different projects, and I've learned in maybe the beginning of August that my phone was hacked. So basically, they were listening to every single conversation that we had.
The NSO Group, in today's world, based on the evidence we have, they are the worst of the worst. They send you a time-sensitive text message, and it's got a link in it. It's something that you have that human impulse. You see it, you go, oh goodness, I need to check that. Everything in the entire history of your phone, you can immediately copy. Everything that happens on your phone from that day forward, every place you go, everyone you call, everything you read, every photo you take, every audio note that's been on that, or actually because they can turn the microphone on remotely. They can turn the camera on remotely even when you haven't already taken it. picture.
Click of a button, you can bring down nations to their knees.
Let's go around the world now for some other stories you need to know this Tuesday. Forget about trying to use Google in China. The company had been designing a search engine specifically for the country, in other words, a censored search engine, but that's now been stopped thanks to Google's own employees. They protested against the project known as Dragonfly, and unlike in communist China, their protest was not squashed, but the project was. A small victory for the women who've accused Leslie Moonves of sexual assault, allegations he denies, by the way. Now the former head of CBS won't receive his $120 million severance package because he basically lied to investigators, tried to hide evidence, and didn't cooperate. Sounds like he got exactly what he deserved, absolutely nothing.
Hakuna Matata. What a wonderful phrase. Hakuna Matata. Ain't no passing craze.
Well, it certainly is a wonderful phrase, but one that's now got Disney in trouble. The company trademarked it in 1994 when the Lion King movie came out. The Swahili phrase means no problem, but is now a big problem. More than 30,000 people have signed an online petition condemning the trademark, likening it to robbery and colonialism, which are pretty much one and the same. Now, music is often used as a form of activism, calling for change, challenging societal norms, and condemning injustices. But this wasn't the case at a recent music festival in Saudi Arabia. Plenty of big names were on the bill, but it was David Guetta who took the most flack, especially when he sang about the now infamous Crown Prince. Cops in South Africa, my home country, are pleased with themselves after posting this video. Now, there are meant to be 15 people in this van, but as you can see, there are double that. It makes me miss home. Well, that's all from the NewsFeed team. Reach out to me at Yash Paddy. You'll also find us 24/7 on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Follow, subscribe, add us.